What's up, vinyl community? It's your boy Chris, coming at you live as always from the man cave. Been about a week since my last video. For those of you who wonder, Dogfish Head, 90-minute Imperial IPA, awesome brew. So, a lot of questions. I've been watching a lot of your awesome RSD find videos. Vinyl Community, Steve Carlson, loved yours. Yours was awesome. Several others, plenty others actually. Getting tons of DMs and to my Instagram direct message box about, hey man, what did you get? You know, give us the whole breakdown, yada yada yada. All right, so here it is. I didn't get to go. I had to work a 12-hour shift on record store day. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Those are my normal hours. I work rotating 12 hours. And if it falls on a day, if record store day falls on a day that I'm scheduled to work, unless I have PTO, which I didn't because I had to use so much of it for my sick daughter, my sick family the last couple of months. So I had none. So my last resort was to try to see if I could get a guy from another shift to swap shifts with me. Hey, here's the problem. I wanted to swap a Wednesday or Thursday for his Saturday. For some guys, don't give up Saturdays. They don't. Everybody they know is off. You know, they can do whatever they want, so they don't swap. And I couldn't afford to just call in sick. I've got a mortgage and a toddler and a wife. Calling in sick is not an option unless I'm just flat out really just sick. So I had to suck it up. I had to go to work. It's the way it is sometimes. But here's why I ain't sweating it. I looked at the RSD list. There were a couple of things I was kind of sort of interested in. Don't get it twisted, but every year, a lot of people shit on record store day. And to be honest with you, it's always kind of sort of like nagged at me a little bit. Because it's a great day, it's a great event, and more so for me, not because there's a lot of exclusive titles left. I've got plenty of rare records in my collection. It's because it's a day to bond with friends and to talk about music with fellow music lovers. Even the waiting in line for 3 or 4 hours doesn't bother me. I take a couple of my buddies, we sit around and talk about music. We find us a couple other music lovers in the crowd in line, waiting to go in there and get their exclusive titles, and it's always a blast. Last year, me and 3 buddies stood in line for record store day and got there first thing in the morning, had a good breakfast together, went and stood in line, a couple cups of coffee, got everything we wanted on our list. I brought them back to my place, treated them to an evening of fishing and a cookout, hung out all night long, had a few beers. It was a blast. That's an annual thing. So that's what bothers me that I missed out on. But it is what it is. But here's why I'm not upset about it. So, music-wise, that is anyway. I'm upset again about missing out on the camaraderie and for being around my friends and spending time with them. But here, music-wise, here's why I'm not upset about it. So, Thursday evening, come home from work, and I got a box full of heat waiting on me. I've been working on a couple of big deals for the last couple of months, and the fruits of my expenses, I guess you could say, finally arrived. Donald Byrd, Freeform, original stereo, Blue Note, New York labels, stellar album, because it's Donald Byrd. Also, Waltz for Debbie, the Bill Evans Trio, Riverside, Killer, So Clean, you can eat off of it, Scott LaFaro, Paul Modian, also playing on the record. Look how clean that is, guys. It looks like a brand new album. So I got that in. It's always been high on my list. Super psyched. Dizzy Atmosphere. This was in the shrink when I got it. So obviously, you know, that shit went quick, fast, and in a hurry. I hate shrink wrap. Same thing for the Bill Evans. In shrink, not for long. Not as soon as I opened it. Dizzy Atmosphere. Guys, the lineup, if you can see. If not, I'm going to read it to you anyway. Al Gray on the trombone. Billy Mitchell on the tenor sax. Lee Morgan on the trumpet. Charlie Persip on the drums. Paul West on the bass. Billy Root on the baritone. And Wynton Kelly on the piano. Guys, if that lineup alone doesn't make you want to listen to this, I don't know what does. I had shared this record with a friend of mine in a record chat on Instagram 15 minutes ago, and he told me, he goes, I've never heard of that record, but I'm looking it up ASAP. I'm like, do that. Because, you know, the label, Specialty. I'll give you a look at that. If that's on Blue Note, everybody knows what it is. If that's on Prestige, everybody knows what it is, but it's on Specialty. But it's a especially good record. Freaking killer in every way. Sam Rivers, Contours. This was just on my turntable a couple hours ago. It is an original mono press. Now, bring it in for a closer look for you guys. You see the New York labels. Full treatment. Beautiful. Not a damn thing in this world wrong with it, because why would there be? I love my jazz, and I love to get it at good prices. But I would rather pay a little bit more and get something especially clean like that than get a bargain that skips 3 times per. All right, I'm getting ready to show you guys one that there's a good possibility many of you don't know about. A good possibility. And for those of you who do, then you know what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't, get it into your life. The Max Roach Trio featuring the legendary Hassan. Guys, this record is smoking. And you can eat off my personal copy. Original stereo, Atlantic, freaking killer. But, so it introduces it as the legendary Hassan. That's what's interesting. Hassan was never on another record after this. And I looked and I looked and I looked into why. I didn't turn up much luck in terms of finding out why. But if you listen to this record, you're like, why? He's so good on this. And Roach, Max is always a genius. Max is always great on everything he's on. But Hassan, man, killer pianist. There's no reason to think that he shouldn't have been amongst the all-time greats just by listening to this record. He's phenomenal on it. If you get a chance, if you see a copy, get it into your life. Thank me later. It is killer. Next up, music from The Connection, Freddie Red Quartet with Jackie McLean, music composed by Freddie Red. That's an original stereo pressing on Blue Note, obviously. Because I always like showing off these beautiful labels. Why would you not? West 47, 63rd Street labels. Full treatment, absolutely freaking beautiful. Was just on my turntable a couple of hours ago. Guys, I had to work all weekend, 12 hours, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I didn't get to enjoy. Not only did I not get to participate in Record Store Day on Saturday, but I didn't get to enjoy any music at all weekend, because when you're me and you work 12 hours and you're the father of a toddler, and dinner still has to be, hooked up, and kids still has to be put to bed. You come home, spend some time with my daughter, spend some time with my wife, get her put to bed, get that squared away, get her ready for, get her stuff laid out for tomorrow, get my work stuff laid out for tomorrow, eat at like 9:30, if I'm lucky, go to bed and start it all over again. So, not only did I not get to do Record Store Day, I didn't get to do shit this weekend, not in terms of records, but I'm making up for it next weekend. All right. This is a really big deal for me. A lot of you won't even know who it is, but this is a rare one. Up and Down, Horace Parlan, original mono pressing, Blue Note, New York labels, freaking killer. This one's, the price on this one just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. I was able to snag it for a really good price. Lineup on this one: Booker Irvin, Grant Green, George Tucker, Al Harewood. Grant Green in particular lights this one on fire, especially the first couple of tracks. Especially the first couple. The Books Beat and Up and Down, he kills them. He kills both of them. He kills the whole album. I highly recommend this if you can get it at a good price, or if you can get a solid reissue. You guys know me. Just because I don't buy reissues doesn't mean I don't advocate them for you guys, because I want you to all hear the music. I buy the originals because I'm a crazy person and I'm a historian and I want to honor the original work of the artist. But what's more important to me for all of you guys is that you get to hear the music. Don't miss out on the music just because of the prices of these original pressings. Okay, this one was a major one for me. Cooking with the Miles Davis Quintet on Prestige. Obviously, you want to see that yellow and black Prestige label. Obviously, why would you not? It's one of the greatest jazz albums ever. Red Garland on the piano, Miles on the trumpet, John Coltrane on the tenor sax, Paul Chambers on the bass, Philly Joe Jones on the drums. Guys, it's arguably the greatest band ever assembled. And by arguably meaning, you can argue with me, but I'll disagree with you. But we can still have a discussion. It can be civil, I promise. I'm just going to disagree. It's killer. I'm glad to finally have it. Steaming, working, cooking. Man, late 50s, early 60s Miles for me is where it's at. For you guys, I won't hate on you for, loving, Bitches Brew and, some of the, early 70s, funkier stuff. That's fine. I own those two and I like those two, but I don't go back to those that often. That one, I'll go back to that one until it stops spinning or until I stop breathing. One of the two. One of the two. And if it stops spinning, I'll buy another one, best believe. Alright, I didn't stack these in any particular order of importance to me. I wasn't trying to build up suspense. I just grabbed everything I had. But this is the biggest one in the stack for me. This is the biggest grail in the stack for me. Bird in Hand, Donald Byrd. It's an original mono press. Blue Note 4019. It is freaking amazing. I love Donald Byrd. .47 West 63rd Street, obviously, is killer. I freaking love it. I've wanted it for years. Several times I thought about buying a reissue just to have the music, and something just kept telling me, nah, Chris, you're going to get this original that you want. Just be patient. And I was, and I got it at a good price from a guy who was willing to let me pay him in installments. So, shout out if you're watching, you know who you are. Charlie Roos is on this one, Pepper Adams, Walter Davis Jr., Sam Jones, and Art freaking Taylor. Art Taylor, to me, is one of the most underappreciated drummers in the history of popular music. Not just jazz, but music, period. Biggest grail for me. Absolutely. I've already spun it a few times. I've got the rest of the day and tomorrow off. I can't promise that one won't go on again. It's that good. That one will be frequently returned to for the rest of my days. Jimmy Smith's House Party. Original press, mono, Blue Note. Yeah. You guys know how I wagon wheel. Jimmy Smith on the organ, Lee Morgan on the trumpet, Curtis Fuller on the trombone, Lou Donaldson, George Coleman on the alto saxes, Tina Brooks on the tenor, Kenny Burrell, Eddie McFadden on the guitars, Art Blakey, Donald Bailey on the drums. Again, original mono, beautiful, absolutely stunning. Next up, That's Where It's At, Stanley Turrentine. Claire seems to be kicking my ass right now. Do you want better? How about that? Les McCann, Herbie Lewis, Otis Finch. This is one of the few that I got that is not an original. Okay, yeah, it's not a first. It's the Liberty Press. Still got that beautiful blue and white Blue Note label, but it is the Liberty Press. And this could belong to one of you guys someday when I upgrade to that very first. So keep that in mind. Next up is an artist that is out there, and he's always one of the ones that I would tell anybody that when you're getting into jazz, don't start here. Start with, the oh my God popular kind of blue, kind of thing. Fill it out, see if you like it. And, listen to a bunch of them and decide if you're really into jazz, and then maybe delve a little further out there into guys like, Sun Ra, later Coltrane, towards the end of his, career towards the end of his life, Coltrane. And this guy right here, also no exception. This one is the Ornette Coleman Trio at the Golden Circle in Stockholm. It's Volume 1. And it is an original mono press. Got the New York labels. It's beautiful, it's phenomenal. It's a little further out there, so it's not my favorite lane for jazz is hard bop. I'm definitely more so a hard bop guy than I am anything. That's my preference. But every so often, I get in the mood for a more challenging listen. For guys like Andrew Hill, for guys like Ornette Coleman, for later Coltrane, for Sun Ra, and that's why I like to have these around. For just if things get stagnant with what I'm listening to, and I want a nice curve ball thrown in there, a 3-2 count in the ninth inning. I keep it for things like that. And it's great for you guys who like further out there jazz. Next up, Cannonball Adderley, Sophisticated Swing. Tell me that's just not an awesome album cover. Beautiful lady, wonderful car. And Julian Cannonball Adderley never made a bad album ever in his life. Personnel is Julian Cannonball Adderley on the alto, Brother Nat on the cornet, Junior Mance on the piano, Jimmy Cobb on the drums, and Sam Jones on the bass. It is a phenomenal record. It's on Anarchy, another awesome jazz label that just doesn't get enough shine. Awesome record. Very happy to have it. I had never even seen a copy, believe it or not, because I have plenty of albums in there that are more rare than that one, but something I want to show really quickly along with this one. Bear with me for a second, guys. It won't take me but a second. I will not edit this out. I don't edit anything. Here it is. Yeah, I don't edit anything, so that's not going anymore. So, Clifford Brown, Study in Brown, Clifford Brown and Max Roach. Clifford Brown on the trumpet, Max on the drums, Harold Land on the tenor, George Morrow on the bass, Richie Powell on the piano. It's the second mono. It's beautiful. And it's on Anarchy. Now, the reason I reached up and grabbed this record a second ago, probably about a year ago, I was in a thrift store looking around, not expecting to find anything, but I had some time to kill. And as I'm looking around, I find this one. Same album. Different color on the cover, right? Study in Brown. I had never seen one with a blue cover. It was $12. Now, I knew it was a reissue, obviously, but I was, for one, why not have the music? Clifford Brown is a genius. So for one, why not have the music? And for two, I just never seen a blue cover, so I was very intrigued. Label, Mercury Anarchy. So I grabbed it and thought to myself, that'll absolutely do me until I find my original. It turns out this one's a second press, a second mono. And I thought to myself, well, this one's still clearly an upgrade over this one, so I can sell this one. To be completely honest with you guys, I'm not sure I'm going to. It's such an awesome conversation piece, and I had gotten to the point where I said no doubles of albums, no 2, 3, 4 copies. And I've done a good job by that, but I might keep it anyway. We'll see. If I decide not to, I'll holler at you guys, give you a chance at a great album for a good price. Next up is one I've wanted for a while. I wanted some solo Paul Chambers. Paul Chambers is a great bass man. I had wanted him for so long, and I've been looking and looking and looking and looking and looking. And I finally got a shot. Paul Chambers, first baseman. On VJ. Beautiful. First mono. Show you guys the VJ labels if you're not familiar. Splat out. Beautiful. Haven't had a chance to throw it on the table yet, but best believe that's happening very soon. Love Paul Chambers. Next up, Frank West's Southern Comfort. The only other Frank West record I have has Coltrane on. I showed it on a video before, but it's been way back. And this one is really hard to find. But this was on this Prestige, beautiful yellow and black. You guys know how I wag and wheel. Next up, why would you not want Kenny Drew Trio with Paul Chambers and Philly Joe Jones? It's on Riverside, another amazing jazz label. And this one, you see that? That's that white label. Very cool. Beautiful. Kenny on the piano, Paul Chambers on bass, Philly Joe Jones on the drums. Very, very, very excited to have that one. I love Kenny Drew, love Paul Chambers, and I love Philly Joe. And it doesn't get enough attention, in my opinion. Any of those guys, really. Next up, you want a solid Blue Note release, you can always rely on this, man. You think Blue Note and you think consistency and you think a lot of albums, you think three guys for me, really. I always think Lee Morgan, Grant Green, and Jimmy Smith. It's an original stereo. All three of those guys have a shitload of albums on Blue Note. Jimmy Smith on the organ, Eddie McFadden on the guitar, Donald Bailey on the drums. Obviously, as much as I love Eddie, and Eddie's great on this one, obviously you'd love to see Grant Green in that spot for that classic combo of Jimmy Smith and Grant Green. But it is what it is, and it's still a great record. It's an original press, stereo, and that is a beautiful album. One of the things about a lot of Jimmy Smith titles, guys, except for the very first ones, is there's so many Jimmy Smith titles on Blue Note that original presses can still be found for pretty cheap. There's just so many titles to choose from. It's not like Blue Train, where that's Coltrane's only album on Blue Note. So if you want Train and you want Blue Note, that's your only shot at it. Coincidentally, an original pressing of Blue Train went for $6,300 on eBay, I think yesterday. $6,300. Makes me not feel so bad about what I spent for that same pressing just a year ago. $6,300. Next up, Kenny Clark, Ernie Wilkins. Clark Wilkins Septet. Great record. Wanted one for a while. Not that pricey. Good stuff. It's on Savoy. Another label that doesn't get enough shine. At least not in my opinion. Not enough shine. And I really like the Savoy. There's beauty and simplicity sometimes, guys. And those Savoy labels are definitely simple. But I love it. Next one. Getting ready to show you guys. Right down front, the Modern Jazz Disciples. It's on New Jazz. Also, well, Prestige / New Jazz. It's another great record on another great jazz label. And Prestige with the Trident label. Great stuff. Curtis Piegler, alto and tenor sax. William Kelly on the normophone. William Brown on the piano. Lee Tucker on the bass. And Wilbur Slim Jackson on the kit. Great record. I haven't had a chance to throw it on yet. Very super psyched to own it. When I first heard about the Modern Jazz Disciples, it was described to me as being very similar to Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. Comparison's not that far off. Next up, what I'm getting ready to tell you about this one will actually surprise a few of you. This is Lee Morgan. Don't have to tell you what that is. You guys know. Lee Morgan with Hank Mobley, Kenny Rogers. Not the Kenny Rogers country singer, obviously. Horace Silver, Paul Chambers, and Charlie Persip. Blue Note 1541. This is a classic records pressing. What's surprising about this is obviously I want an original pressing of this someday. obviously. What I had was a Liberty pressing. But this Classic Records pressing, usually the earlier the pressing, the better for me. Usually that's just the way I feel. But damn it, this Classic Records pressing sounds better than the Liberty pressing. It just does. It just does. And because the Liberty pressing wasn't a first, I had no problem selling it off to get the better sounding pressing. So I sold my Liberty off, got a good price for it, found a good home for it, and I get to have the best sounding version that I can possibly have until I come across my original one day for hopefully a price I don't have to sell my house for. But yeah, told you, there are definitely good reissues to be had, guys. Trust me. No bullshit, obviously. Or I would not have sold my Liberty for a Classic Records. I just wanted the best sounding version I could have until that glorious day when I can hold that OG in my hands. Next up, I'm not positive how you say this. I had never even seen this record before, but I've talked about him several times. Art Blakey never made a bad record. Never. Never. Ever, 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 ever. No. Art Blakey never made a bad record. It never happened. Kubat. I think that's how you say that. Art Blakey and his Jazz Messengers with Sabu and a bongo. I gotta admit, I'm excited about listening to that. I don't know what the hell that's gonna sound like. I'm very familiar with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. I got a ton of their records. I had never even seen this one. So, you guys already know what to expect from Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers usually, but this one sounds like it's going to be a little different. It's on Jubilee. I'm not even sure I own another Jubilee album. No, not positive. Definitely not positive. But I'm expecting it to be great. I bought it just off of Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. All right. Cannonball Adderley with Milt Jackson. Things Are Getting Better. It's on Riverside. It's an original mono. What I had was an OJC, and what I will no longer have is an OJC because it's getting ready to be gifted to somebody. Stay tuned on that. No need to mention the name. The person will find out soon enough. Next up, Moods by the Three Sounds. You could always count on the Three Sounds for just a great sounding jazz record, honestly. They don't get a whole lot of attention. They don't get a whole lot of praise. They don't get a whole lot of, any of what I just said and more. But this is, I think, my fourth Three Sounds record. I love the other three. It's got Gene Harrison on the piano, Andrew Simpkins on bass, Bill Daddy on the drums. They are the Three Sounds. I love the Three Sounds. And their records, even the original presses, like this original mono I'm holding in my hand, can be found cheap. Because, I don't know, they just can. Always good stuff. And last up in this stack of glorious jazz music that I had gotten just a day and a half before RSD to kind of knock me out of my not being quite so depressed about missing out on RSD is Soulful Strut by the Young Holt Unlimited. To be honest with you, I had no clue what this was, but a buddy of mine totally sold me on it. Told me it was awesome. He knows me. I get records off of him all the time. So if he says it's awesome to me and I like the price was good. It's on Brunswick Records. But I'm looking forward to hearing it. Something I've never heard of before. I've never seen before, so love challenging myself. So, that's the Major Jazz Haul that I've only gotten to listen to a few of. Can't wait to listen to all of. It's going to take me a little while. And I'm excited about that, obviously. But, now that I've gotten that out of the way, obviously that's helped me feel a little bit better about missing out on RSD. Got a friend of mine. So if you guys watched my last video about my history of talking too damn much, you would remember me discussing my radio shows that I used to, you know, record myself from my personal karaoke machine / CD player / cassette player combo with the microphone, which I totally never sang on, never even bothered. I just wanted to record my own radio shows. And I had just mentioned that I wish I had a cassette deck so I could go back and play those tapes. Well, lo and behold, a friend of mine who watched my videos, who is a great, I don't know if fan's the term because I'm not famous, I'm not anybody important. How about a supporter? A great supporter of mine, a great friend of mine, saw that, headed down to his local record store, and grabbed me one. Packaged it up and sent it to me. I really was serious when I said that I was going to go look for one. I really was. But he beat me to it before I even had a chance to go. This was at my front door. And I haven't had a chance to completely install it yet because there's been a big renovation project going on in the man cave. Plus I've had a lot of shit going on personally. But because this friend of mine don't do no half-stepping. He ain't about it. Also figured, hey, why not send him some cassettes? Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits. Bob Dylan, Hard Rain. Bob Dylan, Empire Burlesque, which is an album I've never even heard. It was 80s Bob Dylan, so I stayed away from it. Because I'd always heard how bad 80s Bob Dylan was. Bob Dylan, Desire, which is a phenomenal album. Obviously, I have a vinyl copy. Bob Dylan, Infidels. Bob Dylan, Greatest Hits Volume 3. I didn't even know there was a Greatest Hits Volume 3. I thought it was Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2, which of course I have both on vinyl. Bob Dylan Unplugged, which believe it or not, I've never owned in any format. Bob Dylan Knocked Out Loaded. Heard it, I used to have the CD. Not so bad. Not too bad. It ain't exactly blonde on blonde, but it ain't bad. Bob Dylan Down in the Groove. I've never seen this before. I can't tell if it's a studio album. Not sure. Find out. I haven't heard cassette in years. So I might run through all these really quick. This one I was really excited about, even though I have on vinyl, but I've never heard jazz on cassette before. Monk Stream. The Thelonious Monk Quartet, Monk Stream. I used to have that exact vinyl copy. That exact Columbia Jazz Masterpieces vinyl copy. Sold to upgrade to an original mono, obviously. Next up, very excited about one of my favorite albums ever. Definitely one of my favorite live albums ever. Nirvana Unplugged in New York. Very, very excited about that. And this one, sealed. Nobody's ever opened it. Peter Tosh, The Toughest. Some great songs on this one, I know that for a fact. But it's never freaking been opened. But my buddy stopped by the store, by his local store, picked up that cassette deck for me. Again, totally just something he didn't have to do. He just wanted to be nice. And figured, well, hell, why not send him some cassettes to go along with it? And so he did. Wow. Been years since I owned cassettes, but I have cassettes. And I am absolutely going to dig out those tapes that I did myself. Yada, yada, yada. And I can't wait to play them for you. And I'll send you some recordings, buddy. Cheers to you. You know who you are. Thank you. And, okay, so, record store day. My buddies and I had, planned a big, hangout. And we were going to, the night before, we were going to go out on the town, have a nice dinner, go back to go back to one of the other guys' place, hang out, listen to music, watch movies, have a few beers, whiskey, whatever, hang out, pop up first thing bright and early in the morning, go stand in line, get our stuff, and, who knows from there. Well, I missed out on that. The other three guys got to partake. None of them have kids. None of them lose all their PTO for taking care of sick kids. So that's just the way it is. So I had to miss out, and it's okay. And like I said, missing out on the records didn't bother me. Missing out on the camaraderie And that's what bothered me. But one of my friends knows how much I love the following, knows how much I love it, knew it was coming out, grabbed it for me, didn't say a damn thing. So here we are. I didn't show up at RSD. I couldn't, and still ended up getting something on RSD. My buddy MF Merrick does vinyl. I had told him that I had gotten this, and he had begged for me to show it off. So here we go. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. I know a lot of you guys right now who have been watching me are like, I'm a huge South Park fan, guys. 34 years old. That's my lane. When South Park debuted, I was a teenager, early teenager. That's my lane. I love South Park. And when I had heard about this on RSD, it's one of only a couple of things I really wanted. I wanted this. I wanted Bill Evans in England, which of course I didn't get. Maybe I can get later. Who knows? Best of Towns Van Zandt. Maybe one or two that I was curious about looking at. But that was really it. But it's got the lenticular cover. Super sweet. So you open it up. And you standing Kyle. Kyle guarding the blue vinyl. Kyle over the green vinyl. Stan over the blue vinyl. I promised him I'd show him the whole package, so why not? I do like how they included the non-paper sleeves with this. Green wax for LP number 1. I hate paper sleeves, especially if you're going to pay a lot for a package. I end up replacing all of them. And I'll replace these too. But blue vinyl, LP number 2. Awesome. And Merrick, because I'm a man of my word, this opens up. We'll see how I can best do this justice. Got pop up. You got Terrence and Phillip, bro. Pretty cool, right? And on the inside, "28-page booklet, song lyrics, interviews, quotes from Matt and Trey Parker, the creators of South Park." It's very cool. Hopefully you can get your hands on one of these days, buddy. I mean, they're not going to go non-existent. I mean, it'll pop back up. I think you would want one. But super, super cool package. But to be honest with you, I'm forever appreciative of this. I would kick my buddy's ass, though, because I had no idea what he paid for it until he told me, and then he won't let me pay him back. So I'll find a way to get that back and get that done, obviously. I got other ways besides just cash. Who never knows? But that's just another prime example of a couple of people being far too good to me. Being far too good to me. Being far better to me than what I deserve. Because they just wanted to, when I talked to them about it, all he said was, I felt really bad for you that you couldn't join us and that you had to go to work. And I wanted to do something nice for you. Well, that's above nice. And I really appreciate it. And it's never going anywhere, buddy. I'll cherish it forever. And to my buddy who sent me the cassette deck and the cassettes so that I could hear my long lost radio shows. Cheers to both of you guys. You know who you are. So, again, just wanted to show you guys that your boy Chris did have to work on Record Store Day. But don't cry for me, Argentina. I got great music here in the man cave. I got a box full of jazz on Thursday evening. I got a box of cassettes and a cassette deck, I think also on Thursday or Friday morning. I can't remember which. And one of my boys thought enough of me to grab me this on Record Store Day. So I am set up. And even though I missed out on the camaraderie, which is the most important part to me, I do have some great tunes and some really great people. Shout out to my boys. I love you guys, and I love this entire vinyl community. I hope all of you guys got exactly what you wanted on Record Store Day. I hope you got the entire list, and I hope maybe you took some time to take some advantage of some of these used deals that a lot of these stores have, and I hope you got some used gems as well. I know one of my buddies, same guy who sent me this South Park, got, you know, T-Rex, and he got London Calling by the Clash, and, you know, Bob Marley's Burning. I mean, he took advantage of the vintage deals, and God bless to you, buddy, because I love the new stuff, but new stuff can't ever compete with the old stuff, in my opinion. I know I'm an old one, but that's just my personal opinion. And so I hope all you guys did, and I hope you had a great time, and I hope it was full of memories and laughs, and I hope it was just something that you're going to continue to do. So for you guys who don't participate in Record Store Day, that's fine. You don't have to, obviously. You know, for those who think Record Store Day is every day, that's true. But, you know, a lot of us don't get to go to Record Store Day every day, record stores every day. I live 45 minutes away from my nearest record store. I know a lot of you guys can just swing by on the way to or from work. Well, a lot of us can't. Or I got a lot of buddies who swing in on their lunch break. Well, I can't. It's 45 minutes away from me. So for me, this is an event, and it's awesome. And I hope it keeps going, and I hope it keeps growing. So until next time, until next video, keep posting those RSD finds videos, guys. I'm really enjoying watching them. I'm really enjoying listening to your stories. And until next time, until next video, keep dropping that needle, you guys.